The most important thing you need to know, whatever it is you want to do in life, is that you have to walk through fear, no matter what. And I know it sounds cliche, like basic advice, but it's something that I wish I internalized a lot sooner. Because the common misconception about fear is that fear is something evil, fear is something bad. When in reality, fear is just an indicator or guide of where you should go or what you should be doing. You know, fear is something that tells you what your weaknesses are or teaches you about yourself. And it's a reflection of the things that we run from and the things that we're afraid to confront. And actually, this is something that Carl Jung spoke about extensively, about making our fears and our darkness conscious and then being able to reveal our shadow selves. Because when you can bring certain things to light, that's when you can finally free yourself. And it resonated a lot because I've always been of the belief that the worst way that one can possibly live is by lying to themselves. Even though everyone lies, right? Men lie, women lie, everybody lies. But one thing that I can never respect is someone who lies to themselves. Because that in itself, like lying to yourself, is the ultimate act of cowardice. You know, I've said this before, but I've pretty much never been good at anything in life. Like the only thing that I've been sort of okay at is just going fuck it and then just going for it. Regardless of all the what ifs or all the fears that I have towards the situation. And it's not even something that I tried to do consciously, it was just something instinctual. But when you finally decide to walk head first into that valley of fear, not knowing what's going to happen, no matter what, one thing that's guaranteed when you make that walk, and I can say this for sure, is that each and every time you come out with this feeling of pride and accomplishment that you can't get anywhere else. Like that's the beauty of walking through fear no matter what the situation is. It's kind of like you're a Saiyan and you come out stronger each and every single time. You know, you come out an elevated version of yourself and your power level goes up. You know, you go even further beyond. Like there genuinely is no other way. You have to do what you're afraid of if you want to live the life that you want to live. If you want to achieve something that's worthwhile and live in a way that's true to who you are. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. It's going to be awkward. Like the process of trying is never going to look cool no matter what you're doing. Like there's no way of making that process of trying and doing something in the beginning, especially at the start, there's almost no way of making that look cool. That's where you have the most fear, because what we fear the most on a primordial level as human beings, what we fear the most is the unknown. Like you're afraid of the dark because you can't see, you don't know what's there. Just like starting something, whatever it is filled with the unknown. You don't know what to expect. You know, it's only until you do it over and over again where you start to get acclimated. It's kind of like when you first turn off the lights in a room, you can't see anything, right? It's pitch black. You know, it's completely dark. But when you stay in the darkness for long enough, eventually you start to see all the silhouettes and all the contours on the wall, etc. When you stay in the dark for long enough, you start to begin to see in the dark. And that's essentially how you start to overcome your fears. And also, something else to keep in mind is that when you're starting out, you have to let go of how you're being perceived. Because that perception is what's going to stop you from walking through your fears. Anytime in life you do something different or you take the road less traveled, it's always only cool after the fact. You know, it's only cool after you succeed or show signs of success. But aside from that, it's going to be a gritty, arduous, lonely, dark path. But walking through that fear, walking through that darkness is the only way that you're going to find your true self. Because your true self is on the other side of that fear. As a matter of fact, there's something right now in your life that you're deathly afraid of that you're not doing that you know you should be. You can kind of think of it as this massive dragon that's staring you down. And you're in this chasm of darkness or this valley of fear. And there's a bridge that you need to cross to get to the other side, to get to the light. But in the front of that bridge is this massive dragon's head that's staring you down. And you've been trying to tiptoe around it, not realizing that eventually you just have to take your sword, you know, your level 10 dagger in MapleStory or RuneScape or whatever you played, and just face it head on. Like bro, trust me, it never gets any easier. Or you can choose to stay on the safe side forever and never cross that bridge and stay on the side of the dark forever. But if you decide to take that path, it's gonna eat at your soul for the rest of your life, no matter how hard you try to distract yourself. It's kind of like Jung said, whatever you resist will not only persist but grow in size. And it's true, right? The more you avoid that dragon, the larger it's gonna grow, the scarier it's gonna become. However, something that most people don't realize is that facing that fear is actually the fun part. Because you can actually convert that feeling of fear and anxiety into excitement as well. Like they're actually very closely linked to each other. It's like two sides of the same coin. Like yin and yang. So as scared as you are, you can frame it in your mind where even though you're scared, you're also excited. Like listen, I don't know about you guys, but being the underdog in any situation is so fun. Like if you have that vision on where you're going and what you're going to do and whatever you're going to become, and you're willing to do what it takes, there's a part of your soul that just salivates at that thought. You kind of have that mindset where you're like, okay, we'll see. Because when my time comes, you won't even be able to keep up. Like there's nothing that can stop me. And you gotta feel that way about overcoming your fears. You have to be excited because it's only because you feel fear where you can find courage. You know, if there was no fear, then there would be no courage. There would be no bravery. For example, right, let's say that two guys got on a roller coaster and one guy is terrified about to piss himself and the other guy, he's not scared at all. He's been on 100 roller coasters and the both of them end up going on the ride. In that situation, who's showing more courage? Who's showing more bravery? Obviously the guy that's terrified but gets on anyways. Also, another important thing is try to have fun, try to enjoy the process, try to enjoy your battle against your dragon because it's going to beat your ass, it's going to hit you hard. Again, walking through your fears isn't going to be easy, but it wouldn't be worth it otherwise. The dragon wouldn't be worth fighting if you weren't scared. So in a sense, right, not only is fear not evil, it's actually a blessing because there wouldn't be any growth, progression, valor, bravery, or courage if fear wasn't there. And it's in that darkness where you can find your true self. The most fear I ever had approaching a girl, and I told this story a long time ago, but it's such a good story. But there was this girl that I had a crush on in high school, and I'll tell you why there was so much fear involved. Still the scariest interaction with any girl by far to this day. So this was my senior year of high school, and she was the stereotypical perfect girl, right? Like a bunch of guys had a crush on her, she was a 4.0 student, you know, honor roll student, ended up going to some Ivy League college, etc. And meanwhile, you had me at the time, this skinny, lanky, awkward Asian kid, average student, nothing athletic about me. I might as well have been translucent in her eyes. And I had one class with her, but we never said a single word. Might have exchanged hi like maybe once or twice, but that's about it. You know, didn't really have any mutual friends either, so she was basically out of reach. And even till this day, that was by far the scariest, most fearful interaction I ever had with any girl. Because it's not like she was some girl on the street you can just go up to and if she rejects you, it is what it is. You know, in that situation, you can just move on and never see him again. Like there's little to no consequences. Or for example, you might slide into the DMs of some girl, worst thing that can happen is maybe she screenshots and shows her group chat. Like in most situations, the worst thing that can happen is she says no. It's like, who cares, right? But in my situation, it's like there's a lot of social consequences involved. Because that's a whole lot of embarrassment and awkwardness that I have to deal with for the rest of that year. Like I still have class with her. And to add on to that scenario, right, that was when I was the least confident version of myself. I mean, rightfully so, I didn't have anything to be confident about. I probably didn't have 5-10% the confidence that I do now. Like bro, I was with my friends back then and they can attest to this, some of them probably watching right now. But almost every single day during lunch for about 2-3 months straight, I was like, today's gonna be the day, I'm gonna talk to her today. For literally 3 months straight, like I was that guy. So the day that I finally talked to her, I finally have that interaction, that conversation, I didn't even mean to. It was on a Friday afternoon and I just finished my 6th period. It was about 2:30 p.m. And I normally see her, let's just call her Sarah. Sarah normally comes into the class that I have for 6th period for her 7th period. And on that Friday, I walk out of class, right? And then I see her down the hallway like she's going in the opposite direction. And then I stop walking and then I kind of look like through my peripheral. I'm like, wait, this is my opportunity. Because I'm thinking she probably forgot something and went back to her locker to get it. You know, the bell's about to ring for 7th period and there's no one around. No one else is in the hallway. So now's my chance, right? I can walk by her, say hi, and strike up a conversation. Like this is my chance, right? I finally got that one-on-one ISO. Like there's no way I'm passing the ball this time. So I go, f it, right? It's Friday, I'm feeling good, I'm gonna try to go up to her. So I go down the hallway as well and I'm walking fast before I think myself out of talking to her for the 20th time. So I go all the way down that hallway and I turn the corner and before I can go up to her, before I can say something, she goes into a classroom. She goes and walks into a classroom and then I just stop and I go, f it. Like here I was thinking that she forgot something at her locker and this was my chance, but I'm guessing that was like her 6th period. But now it's a weird situation for me, right? Because she's not at her locker. So I can't just pretend like I'm walking by, like she went into a classroom and I'm standing right outside. Not directly in front, it's kind of at like a 10 o'clock angle. But as I'm standing there, shitting myself, debating what to do, I start psyching myself out. You know, that burst of energy that I just had is starting to leave my body. And now it's starting to settle in how this could look. I'm standing right outside the classroom that she just walked into. And she knows the 6th period that I just had. Like this is gonna look extremely weird and kind of creepy. Like what, I'm just following her through the hallways? I mean, I kind of was, but I don't want her thinking that. And bro, I swear on everything, before I made the executive decision to bail out of there to abort the mission, the most terrifying thing that could have happened, I heard the doorknob turn from the classroom that she just walked into. Like literally the second I was about to turn back. Like bro, when I tell you this was by far, in terms of like moments, this was the most terrifying 1 second of my life. The internal dialogue that I was having with myself was, please God, please don't let this be Sarah. Please, anybody else but her, do not let this be Sarah. Like I'm frozen, right? I'm stuck in place and I can't move. Because if she sees my ass bolt in the other direction, like right as she comes out when she knows the class that I had before, and also the fact that she came back to this classroom to get her stuff, like, bro, there's no way out of that. Like there's no explaining, it's just weird. The only thing I can do is stand my ass right there and pray to God that it's not her. And as soon as anybody else comes out, that's when I abort. So the doorknob turns, the door opens, and that 1 second felt like an eternity. And lo and behold, of course, she walks out. Sarah walks out. Not only does she come out, she looks right at me, like dead at me. We lock eyes. And she goes, "Hey, I thought you already left." And the first syllable that came out of my mouth, I stuttered. And I was like, you know what? I'm here. There's no moves left to make. It's time to cross that bridge. It's time to walk head first into fear. And I just said, yeah, to be honest, I was waiting for you. When your back's against the wall, the only move for you to make is to go on the offensive. I'm sure that's in the art of war somewhere. And then she goes, "Oh, how come?" Like slightly weirded out, but not completely negative reaction. Which actually gave me a slight boost of confidence, so I just wanted to talk to you for a quick second. And her face actually went from slightly confused to a bit of relief. And she goes, "Oh, okay." If you want to know how the rest of that story goes, the video is called Getting Brutally Rejected by My Crush. But yeah, basically walk through the valley of fear, into that chasm of darkness. Face your dragon head on, whatever that might be in your life. Because that's when you're going to find your true self, when you cross that bridge. When you walk through that valley of fear. Anyways, hopefully you got something from that. Thank you for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. That said, make sure you stay true. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.